Dr. Damon Jones, welcome. I am excited that you're here and I am excited that you will be sharing your wisdom with us. What a delight. So, audience, just hang in here. You are in for a wonderful treat. And know that this video will be available to you on demand so you can watch it again at a later time. Dr. Daemon is going to talk to us about the biology of becoming, how midlife hormonal shifts can elevate, not diminish your leadership. Here's a little bit about her. Dr. Daemon, also known as Dr. Day Jones, is a naturopathic doctor on a mission to support women struggling with menopause, weight gain, diabetes, and thyroid issues. Often rooted in hidden hormonal imbalances, she blends conventional and natural therapies to uncover and treat the underlying causes, helping women restore energy, confidence, and vitality. And don't we all need that? Her passion comes from personal experience, once an overworked corporate professional facing fatigue and hormonal struggles. She found healing through naturopathic medicine and transformed her life's path. A native Washingtonian, Dr. Day now works virtually with women across country and worldwide, empowering them to feel whole again. So, with no other delay, I want to move to the interview that is exciting to just learn about how best to take care of ourselves as we lead. So, Dr. Jones, once again, thank you. I am so excited. So, we're just going to flow with a conversation,
All
a
right,
bit of
let's do it.
talking.
Yep.
Yes, 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 yes. So, my first question to you is what inspired you to be part of the symposium? Like, why did you say yes when Santa asked?
I said yes because Santa asked. I've been so fortunate to know you for such a long
Mhm.
period of time, and I've been able to participate with you in sweat lodges and yoga classes, and both be able to work in the same space, healing women using our different talents and gifts. And so I mean, what else could I say except for yes when you asked
Yes,
me and you were
yes,
putting this
yes.
together? So I'm excited to be a part of helping women uncover different aspects of themselves and to know that women are leaders and we uncover these
Mhm.
aspects so that we can become better leaders.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
saying yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. So let me start with this big question here. Many high achieving women feel off in midlife, but can't explain why. From your perspective, Dr. Day, what is really happening during the perimenopause and menopause stage?
So thank you so much for asking that question because when I've been treating women that have been dealing with perimenopause and menopause and menopausal symptoms in general since I
Mm,
graduated from school in 2002, right? So that's when I graduated from naturopathic school. It was the same time frame where the study that misinformed the public
mm,
and doctors alike came out in 2002. So I opened my office and all these women were calling me because they were being pulled off of hormone replacement therapy by their
mm,
physicians
mm,
because the misinformation that was put out about the women's health
mm,
study.
mm,
And they didn't have any options.
mm,
So women in their 40s and beyond were feeling like they were either gaining weight, they were having brain fog, they were having joint issues and problems,
mm.
they were having digestive issues, their blood pressure, cholesterol,
Wow.
prediabetes started going crazy. And most women that I work with are like, I'm not really doing anything different. Why
Mm,
is my
mm,
body betraying me? Like what is happening right now? Why am I gaining weight? What's going on with my midsection? Why
mm,
are my
mm,
emotions all over the place? Why do I feel more anxious? And so what's happening is our body is changing. And the
mhm,
hormones that we associate with menopause, estrogen and progesterone, they actually have receptors on every single cell of our body. So as
Mm.
those levels start to fluctuate and ultimately they're going to decline, things start changing even though our behaviors are not necessarily changing. And there's this place where women say that they feel off, and it's not that the body's breaking down, which is what we think or we're being led
I
to
believe.
know. Really, our body is shifting. And when we
Absolutely.
support that shift, the body often responds in a very beautiful way.
That's right. Because our body really does not want to betray, does not betray. It responds to what's happening. And I would think that these are signals, right? For
They,
us to tend to pay attention to, go visit a naturopathic doctor, Dr.
yeah,
Day,
yeah,
and figure out what's going on. So here's the other thing that I want to ask you about
yeah,
because these hormonal changes are quiet. They
yes,
affect our clarity, our focus, our energy, our decision making. Essentially, they affect our ability to function at the level that, as businesswomen and as leaders, we need to function,
yes,
especially when we're already performing at a high level.
that's
What
right.
can you share, Dr. Day, for those women that are thinking, oh my God, I can't think, I can't focus, I am tired? Like, what can you share as a way of an inspiration that, it doesn't mean that something's wrong and that your life is sinking.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
love that question because the first thing that we have to change in the conversation about perimenopause and menopause, so I make the distinction. Perimenopause is the time where our hormones are starting to change, and our we talk about menopause often being the time where we stop having our period. So that is the one symptom, even though I
Mhm.
have a menopause scorecard that has over 40 different symptoms, that's the one symptom that we talk about is when our period stops. And when
Mhm.
it stops for 12 months, then we're in menopause.
Okay.
But what's happening is that we first have to understand it's not just about our period stopping. It's about these hormonal shifts that are happening in our bodies.
Mhm.
And they happen usually a few years before our periods even become dysregulated.
Mhm.
So the first thing is if you're feeling like, oh, something is changing or shifting and I don't know what's going on, but my periods are normal, so I can't be in perimenopause, that's not true.
Mhm.
So the first thing is that our hormones start to shift. And then as they start to actually decline, then we move into menopause. And then menopause is just the definition that we're not having our period for 12 months. That day, whatever that day is, that's when
Mhm.
you enter into menopause. And then you're in menopause for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
And that whole process or shift, the first thing for you to become aware of so that you know what to do, because leaders are high functioning, they're ready to do all the things, and they're like, what's happening?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a 4 to 7 year process.
Mhm.
So the first thing is this education that you're allowing me to share, I think is amazing, so that women can begin to understand what's going on. Because a lot of times women don't know, and our parents and our moms and grandparents or aunties maybe don't know and haven't explained it to us.
Mhm.
For
Thank
women
you.
of color, this perimenopause, menopausal process can actually be an additional 4 years. They don't have a
Mhm.
specific reason why. I this is guessing, this is not research, but all of the micro issues and aggressions and other things and stress that we have to deal with as women of color extend the process a little bit longer because our body is having to deal with more. Our emotions are having to deal with more. Our brains are having to deal with more. So
Mhm.
our process could take up to 11 years. So the first
Wow.
thing is women need to
Wow.
understand that so they don't think they're
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. Can
There's
we
something.
stop right there?
Yep.
Wow. For 11 years. right? Feeling off if you don't get support, is what I'm
Yes.
hearing, right?
Yes.
With the
That is,
support, which we're going to get to,
yes.
but with the support, you don't have to feel off for so long. And,
Yes.
I love that you brought in like what also exacerbates for us women of color
Yeah.
is the stress that we live in,
Yes.
right? Is the stress that we're in. So, even more of a reason why tending to our hormonal health is so critical,
It's
right?
it's
Thank
such
you.
an
Thank you. Thank
important
you.
thing. So
Yeah.
when your question about our brains, so what happens, our brains literally are they're rewiring.
Mm,
So the first thing to know about how do you support it is to understand what's happening.
absolutely.
And during that period, our brain is rewiring and it's actually pruning.
Hmm.
So, for example, I give this as an example that I know how to tie my shoes. And I know that when I was, however old I was, to learn how to tie my shoes, I learned some story about bunny ears.
Hmm.
I can't do the bunny ears. I don't know what's going on with the bunny ears, right? So the pruning is the exact steps that I knew for a period of time. For me, my brain was like, you don't need these anymore. That's done. So other things get pruned as well. So if we aren't seeing and talking to people for years at a time, maybe when we see someone that we know and we may have been like acquaintances or friends and then we can't think of their name when we see them, it's because our brain is literally pruning the things that it thinks, well, she doesn't use this very much.
Right.
And so some of that, like that recall that women have, or if you're feeling like is just beyond like you can think to here and it's like right there and I'm like what is it?
Can't catch
It's
it.
yeah, exactly, it's because our brain is literally
Mm,
rewiring and pruning out the things that we don't think are important. So this is a
mm,
temporary thing. And what I will say is I love the work by Dr. Lisa Mosconi. She actually has a book called The Menopause Brain, and she explains that we are rewiring our brains, and and our bodies are also being rewired from a hormonal perspective. But at
mm,
the end of this process, women tend to feel more content and more satisfied than they did before they even started the process. So for those of us that are like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to remember anything. I've had women come in thinking they're early stages of Alzheimer's, but really what was
mm.
happening, their brain was being rewired, and our lifestyle needs to be rewired as well.
Yes, yes.
So,
So, so here's a curiosity I have, and I hear a
yes,
lot of women talking about this. Let's say now in their menopause trajectory, right? Because
yes,
whatever number of years that is.
yeah.
Dr. Day, what's the story with these hot flashes and cold sweats?
So,
Please share some miracle
like,
answer
how,
on that one.
so
Yes.
I actually look at it in a couple ways. So again, looking at the reason why I referred to at least Dr. Mosconi's work is because she's a neuroscientist and
Mhm.
she's the first person who's done a large body of research on women's brain and what happens to them during menopause. And
Mm.
actually the hot flashes and the night sweats, part of that process is estrogen is a hormone. A hormone is just a signal that gets sent from one part of the body to the other to tell the body to do something, right?
Mhm.
That's what
Mhm.
hormones are. And that the hot flashes and night sweats sometimes can come as a result of the estrogen declining in the body, and it actually causes this response where our temperature gauge gets a little off.
Mm.
And so the hot flashes and night sweats can happen as a normal part of the estrogen levels resettling at a much lower level than when
Mm.
they were when we were in our productive years.
Got it.
So that's part of that. This is where
Mhm, mhm,
conversations around hormone replacement therapy, like whether it is appropriate for you or not appropriate for you, how
mhm,
safe is it? It's much safer than we have been thinking it has been
mhm.
for the last 20 years. And so I'm happy to have conversations with women about how that makes sense because there's so much
Wonderful.
hesitation about it because of the misinformation.
Right.
But another part of the hot flashes and night sweats can be a different hormone, cortisol. And
Mm,
cortisol is our stress, our fight or flight response.
absolutely.
And so when the estrogen is changing, and if we are under high amounts of stress, and I think about stress in this way, what is the demand that we're requiring of our body and our mind? So, not just that you're emotional stress, but if
Mhm,
you're up for 16 hours every day and you're doing everything for everybody and you're not eating the way that you're supposed to, and
mhm,
all of that, that also triggers the cortisol hormone, and that cortisol hormone can cause hot flashes
mhm,
and night sweats
mhm,
as well.
mhm.
So if
Got
both of those things are not being considered in your personalized treatment plan for whatever you want, then the hot flashes and night sweats could be happening all the time, at night, during the
it.
day, like all these
Yes,
different
yes,
pieces.
yes.
And if one of them is being addressed, like maybe sometimes women have hormone replacement therapy and it might make it better, but they still may have some symptoms, then if you haven't looked at the physical demand that you're putting your body under, then you need to look at that as well. And the combination of those two things allows you to not suffer as your
Mhm,
body's
mhm,
changing. You get
mhm.
supported in that process, and the symptoms can become a lot less intense. I
Ah,
can't say that I can solve every single, problem in our transition, but certainly, women, it's a huge difference if you're doing
mhm.
10 hot flashes a day to one. Like,
That's right. That's
still a
right.
game
That's right.
changer.
Or getting up in the middle of the night several times because
Yes,
you're soaked, right?
exactly.
So I also love, Dr. Day, that you are talking about the impact of stress, right? As high
Yes,
achieving, as leaders, we know that we do a lot, and then
yes,
we're expected to do a lot in our personal lives as well. And one of the things that I like reminding people is that stress on our body is about can the body, can the system tolerate, right,
that's
what's
right.
going on? And I just want to put a plug in there that sometimes stress can be a lot of wonderful things. I have a lot of events, I have a lot of parties, I have a lot of
Yes,
celebrations, but a lot of anything, right? When I
yes,
talk to women and we talk about stress, they think that I'm talking about the ugly, the bad, right? No,
yeah,
sometimes we have too much fun and too much to manage,
yes.
right? And that stresses our bodies as well. So there are a lot of women in our audience right now listening to our chat that are used to pushing through exhaustion.
Yeah.
How can women begin? How can we begin to differentiate the difference between burnout and a hormonal depletion? Because
Yeah.
immediately we go to, oh my God, I'm burnt out. So
Yes.
tell us something about that, Dr. Day.
I love that because what we want to talk about is we want to talk about rest. And it
Mhm,
piggybacks so beautifully on what you just said. So, hormonal depletion, it doesn't fully resolve with rest alone.
mhm,
So a
mhm,
woman may take time to sleep, take time off, and still feel exhausted and foggy, brain fog, emotionally flat. And this is because the body is saying that there's another biological change. And so we have
mhm,
to support our hormones, we have to support our metabolism, we have to support our
mhm,
nervous system. And when we are thinking about all of those things, those are lifestyle things, like to your point.
mhm, mhm,
If
mhm,
someone has a whole bunch of parties and they're having all these wonderful celebrations, well, in those celebrations, if you're giving, but you're not restoring
mhm,
yourself,
mhm,
taking
mhm,
time to be like, okay, well, I need to just sit in a quiet place. I
mhm,
need to have
mhm,
tea with a friend of mine.
That's
I
right.
need to make sure I eat meals, right? Because I'm so busy rushing from work to an occasion after work and I skipped meals during the day,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
These are examples of things that I would consider rest that our body needs to have to
Absolutely.
unplug from all of the activity to
Hmm.
give ourselves a chance to restore ourselves. And there's
Yes.
a wonderful um, TED Talk called The Seven Types of Rest by Dr. Smith
Mm,
Dalton. And she
mm,
talks about spiritual rest and creative rest and
mhm,
physical rest and
mhm,
emotional rest and mental rest. And I can't think of the last two, but you guys can look it up. It's
beautiful.
wonderful. But
Mhm,
these are all the types of rest, not
mhm,
just sleep, but rest that our body needs. And the
mhm.
work that I do with women around this midlife time and perimenopause and menopause have to do with lifestyle shifts, rest,
It's wonderful. It's
foods, right?
wonderful. Yes, yes,
Um,
absolutely.
mental breaks, um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
putting yourself first
Mm-hmm.
before putting everybody else first. These are all parts of the treatment plans, if you will, around
Mm-hmm.
perimenopause and menopause, and not feeling guilt and not feeling shame because you're taking a step back and looking at what you as a woman needs.
Absolutely. Rest is a form of resistance. That's
It
something that
is.
I am allowing myself to really dive into, right? So I love that list of all the different forms of rest and resting our mind, right? So I love the idea that I can just close my eyes and take a 1 second, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, depending on the time, any time of the day, to
Yeah.
rest my mind.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So if a woman wants to start feeling like herself again, calmer, clearer, more energized, where do we begin? Where should she begin, Dr. Damon?
So one of the things that I think is really important, and I will, we're gonna give to people is, I would say first start with the menopause scorecard, and the reason why I have people do that is it's an assessment. So where do we begin? We begin with an assessment.
Mm,
And the reason why I recommend that assessment is it looks at like 8 different systems of the body and
mm,
it kind of lets you know, okay, well, what is maybe changing?
mhm,
Is it my
mhm,
nervous system? Do I feel more anxious? Do I have more joint pain? Do I have digestive issues? Is my brain foggy and off? Am I gaining weight? Like, I think the place where we're always going to have success, particularly for high achieving women, is an assessment, right? So where are we right now? Like how are we, like where are we right now? How many places are we
mhm,
off? And the
mhm,
gift of any type of assessment it gives you time to reflect and time to kind of notice like where are you right now so
mhm,
that you can see, are there 2 categories that I need to work on? Are there 10 categories that I need to work on?
mhm, mhm,
And it creates a place for a for to prioritize what are
mhm,
the things that are the most important, because when women are leaders they always have all these things that they need to do. I was literally just talking to a girlfriend of mine right before we got on this call,
mhm,
and I asked her how she was doing and she said, "You know what? I am overwhelmed with work." She got a
mhm,
promotion, so
mhm,
she's still in the first like 6 or 7 months of this new promotion. She's like, I'm overwhelmed with work. And
mhm,
while we were talking, I realized I need to rearrange certain things and put this particular
mhm,
project on
mhm,
my schedule 2 weeks from now. And
mhm,
so I can do that and then I can handle the project if I do that. So now I'm going to go have this conversation. So she and I were just we've been support system since the day we met. Like we were 22 years old. Anderson
mhm.
Consulting, because I started out in the corporate world. We've been friends ever since then. And just having the relationship that we have together, we weren't even talking about her work, but whatever we were talking about triggered in her mind a solution. a
Mm-hmm.
way of reprioritizing what she needed to do to reduce her overwhelm and for her to be able to manage it different.
Wonderful.
That's the gift of starting with an assessment to kind of see where you are. And then from there, you can get the support that you need depending on what are the highest priorities that
Mhm.
show up from that assessment.
Mhm. What you're also bringing up, Dr. Day, is the importance of having support systems,
Yeah.
right? The importance of having sisters around you that
Yeah.
call you in, that remind you of who you are, that remind you of what you've committed to, that may even know what your priority list says,
Yeah.
right? And in a gentle, loving, caring way can say, hey, you matter. And so I'm glad that you have that friend, and I hope that we all do. And part of the symposium is the spirit of creating that opportunity for, at some point, for us all to begin to really put us up front, right?
Yes.
Uh, Set us on that agenda and our care. So I am wondering for those women who are like, oh, menopause, the witch of the West,
Yeah.
your perspective, what's the hidden opportunity for us during this phase of our life?
So one of the things that I learned that I loved like a long time ago was one of my mentors said that when we go into this perimenopausal menopausal phase, there's like estrogen, the veil of estrogen starts to lower, and we start to become more aware of what we need. What do we need? And that's because estrogen helps us take care of others and be the moms and the aunties and the grandmas and the whatever and then take care of everyone else. And so when that level declines, we start to take a moment and we are like, wait a second. I'm not picking up. I've picked up your socks for 20 years. I am not picking up your socks. You are an adult. Pick up your own socks, right? So, but that's a gift. That is a gift because women, we have our own needs. We have our own things that we want to create in the world. And for women who are leaders, they may have leadership in one particular area, but that doesn't mean that they don't have dreams in other areas of their lives. And so this hidden opportunity creates the space because it also happens to happen while we're in midlife. So this is where women become empty nesters, or you've gotten to a certain level in your job and you want to think about a personal experience that you want to have. Maybe you're moving into the retirement time and you're looking at, well, what are the next steps of what I want to do? So the hidden gem of this is that it gives us an opportunity to then recognize that we have things that we want for ourselves and that we can start to make shifts, whether it's do women eat differently after menopause, like in the perimenopause, menopause time? Yes, absolutely. Do we sleep differently? Yes, absolutely. Do we have different emotions and feelings about what we need for ourselves? And do we need to change the relationship we have to family and friends and other people in our lives? Yes, we need to do that. And not in an isolated way, but particularly for women. Women always learn better and heal better, in my opinion, in groups, together, not alone. So I want to bring up this whole conversation about perimenopause and menopause and the benefits because this is an opportunity for us to learn together. This shouldn't be a hidden conversation any longer because you're not alone. I mean, how many times I do a group, I do a brunch, I do a retreat, I do these, and women are like, oh my God, that's what happens when we open up the dialogue and see that this is an opportunity for us to shift into our power, for us to
Mm,
shift into our power and our wisdom. Because by the time women are in perimenopause and menopause, we have wisdom.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you. That is amazing. And, this idea of women learn in groups, women of color, it is in our nature
that's right.
to be in community, to
Yeah.
be in supportive circles. That's how we thrive. And as much as we want to kind of adhere to this Western ways of individualism, we're not individuals. That is not true,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, we are individuals. That's not, I didn't mean to say we're not individuals, but we don't heal on our own. So,
Yes.
collectives, groups, experiences, even if they are curated, right, by someone who leads a particular workshop on learning about menopause and perimenopause, or
Yeah.
someone who joins, a program with other women leaders to say, what are you experiencing? Because what
Yes.
I have found, Dr. Day, is that is through those group experiences that we get validated, right?
Yes.
We also have the invitation to let go of the shame, let go
Yes.
of secrecy, free ourselves.
That's
So,
right.
a couple of last words, and then tell us, how do we find you? How does the audience connect with you? And you did mention a freebie, so everybody's going to get that little gift from Dr. Damon. So,
Yes.
yes, how do you want to wrap it up for us?
So what I want to say, I'll tell a really short personal story. So I have been working with women for 23 years, like I said, through this
Mm,
menopausal process, the weight gain, the brain fog, the
mm,
numbers on the labs that we don't want to see, the lack of
mm,
sleep, like all of these different things, and helping them to get better. And when I went through the process myself, I was fortunate enough that my community, and many of the women in my community, are also naturopathic doctors. We're friends. So I didn't have to go through it alone. And I went through it with women that actually could give me suggestions about sleep and rest and supplements and hormone replacement therapy. And we were having these conversations about it and we were helping each other through it. And so my passion of really helping women to understand all of these ways that we're feeling off and we don't know what's going
mm,
on. Some of it's because no one has taught us that. And that can we, as we come into community and as you learn this little tidbit here, this little tidbit there, it actually improves the symptoms. Women of color are so used to like pushing through and
mm,
we'll just, keep dragging ourselves through the mud. Do not do that.
mm,
You don't have to. There are solutions, there are options, there are foods, don't just take a supplement and think that that's, what the issue is. You might need to understand more about your hormonal imbalance to actually get results, but there are options so that you do not have to suffer. And
mm.
that the way to reach out to me, certainly on LinkedIn, you can find me under Dr. Damon Jones, but my handles are Dr. Day at Healthy Days. When you look for me on Instagram, or if you're looking for me on Facebook, like those kinds of ways. And then I have lots of free information. I have
Mm,
lots of
thank you.
curated events where we get together as a group and have conversations about it. And I do individual work with some women that are like, hey, when you are a high functioning woman and you have a lot of things that you need to get done, you want an expert to just come in and help you understand, give you the information you need so you can integrate that into your schedule, and that you deserve to
That's
make
right.
your health a priority and spend time and money on yourself so you can continue to do all the things that you want to do. So I don't want to make that
Absolutely.
a shameful thing. I want to make it an empowering thing because you
Absolutely.
got work, you have your gifts. You're out there in the world helping other people.
That's
So you
right.
focus
That's
on
right.
your gift and let me help you focus on what I know how to do as part of my
Right.
gift to give you your health in any way that I can. I'm happy to be a support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Dr. Day, DAE, just
Yes.
want to make sure that you
Yeah.
know how to find Dr.
Thank
Day.
you. Yep.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so very much. And audience, I hope you've enjoyed, that you've gotten some tips, and most of all, that this talk gave you an opportunity to know that you're not off, sister. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you. And this is a time to flourish and to expand. And I want to invite you to think about being the CEO of your own body, mind, and spirit. And Dr. Day can help us with that.
Yeah.
So, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Once again, a big thank you to you, Dr. Damon Jones,
Thank you.
naturopathic right here from DC. So, reach out when you need help.
Thank you
Thank
for putting this
you.
together.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. Thank you.